Hello and welcome, my fellow book dragons. This is Becca B, and welcome back to my channel. I basically blog about reading and reviews and the occasional guest, which has still pretty much been quiet for a while. On April 20th, one of my girlfriends and I decided to make a day of it, and we went to the Los Angeles Festival of Books over at USC. So there were a couple of people that I did want to see, to get into their shows, to get onto the panels, and I managed to snag two of them, including the fabulous RuPaul. I didn't get a chance to see Henry Winkler because by the time I got around to it, the tickets were already sold out. And then the final panel was contemporary Gothic novels, where I got to actually see one of my favorite contemporary Gothic authors, Alex Haro. So as you can see here, this is a picture of my haul. And including the shirt I'm wearing, which is, I'm not sure if you can see it, it says Professional Book Fairy. And then on the back, you have the book that opens out as if it's flying, as if it's in flight on wings. And the wings are made of pages. So let's get on with this great book haul. And a few tchotchkes as well. If you are new to my channel, I am Becca B, self-published author, educator, book dragon, I'm going to call myself now, and artist. So welcome to the channel. If you love what you see, please like, subscribe, and please leave a comment below so I can keep this channel going. The last review I did was of Audible's 1984 with the live cast, including the book, and a special message to Andrew Garfield, which I hope it reaches his ears. And hopefully I hear from him and a few others that I've also reached out to as well. So when we got there, and honestly, the best thing that I realized after much consideration is that I did not take the Metrolink to get there. It was just a lot more hassle than it needed to be. So for those of you that are new to the Festival of Books, the best thing to do is to print out a map. Also to pay for parking ahead of time online. Because what I found very, very difficult was the last time I went there, I actually had to pay, like pay to park texting number, and I really do not like doing that. So you don't really reserve a spot, but you do reserve a place to park in one of the structures. And also, I would get the address of the parking structure so you know exactly where you are just before you enter the campus. The same parking structure that we actually reserved our parking was actually the same place where the shuttle could pick us up and take us directly to the campus. Now, it did not drop us off at either of the specific entrances to the campus. There was one off of Jefferson and the other one was off of Exposition Park. We ended up going on Figueroa Road, and we basically stopped in front of the, I believe it's called the Gastropub, and you walked across the street onto McLaren Drive, I want to say, or McCloskey Drive, and you passed the Merle Oberon parking structure. So we basically, like, imagine here's the campus, and instead of going to either of the entrances, we basically kind of went in the middle, and that is where we made our entrance onto the campus. And it's actually the same place, I was to later find out, that was the closest to the food trucks and to the luncheon area where I went there the first time that I went to the book fair. So but that was also the place where we did not eat. It was actually towards the front on the opposite entrance. Way too complicated to explain. So when we got there, the first place we went to was Starbucks. And when we were in line, as we were ordering, we were looking around and there were all these signs that say, the Festival of Books is now cashless. So make sure that your cards are ready to go and make sure that they are protected digitally as well, because you never know. Last time I went there, one of my cards was digitally stolen. So make sure that you are aware of your purchases. Take cash anyway, just to be on the safe side. Anyway, the first purchase, this was to this place called, I thought it said Cosworth, like from Beauty and the Beast. No, it's this publishing company called Cosworth Publishing. And the first thing that drew me to this particular venue was, first of all, it seems to be more about education, and it was this teacher's package. It's quite reasonably priced. This one was an extra one from another package that was kind of basically the same thing. This just didn't come with it, so I just added this this book to the pile. So because I'm an educator and I just started working as a behavior technician with autistic children, this to me was a big deal, and I'm hoping to actually use this as part of my resources. So this one here is the I Hate to Read book, because a lot of students, and I really hate to say this, a lot of students that are in high school are reading way below their level, and I'd like to know why. But one of the things that drew me to this pile was not just because of the teacher's package, but look at this beautiful rainbow colored ribbon. I love this. So let's actually just take it apart if we can. Is this Velcro? Without ripping it. Okay, perfect. There we go. Pretty. I might use that later. So this first one here is Autism for Beginners, Surfing the Spectrum. Look at those colors. Oh, delish. My Dyslexic Handbook, Genius Edition. The book kind of reminds me of fantasy, horror, and adventure from the Page Master right there on the cover. This one here is the Attention Deficit Disorder Hyperactive. It's a cookbook. Look at this. Do not open this book unless you do have ADHD. And this one, I don't know why this one is. That's interesting. Anyone else went to the book fair that got this package? This is called the OCD Fun Book. Really? And my question is, why is there this bubble wrap all over the cover? I thought that was just to protect the book. Unless, is there a CD inside? Unless that's supposed to be the cover. Can you take it off? Just curious. I mean, you can, but it's going to take forever, and I don't want to rip it. But you can definitely have a lot of fun popping it. It's one of the mysteries of the universe. I have no idea why it's in bubble wrap, but there we go. So yes, that was the package from Cosworth Publishing. On to the next purchase. Oh, one little thing I did forget to mention. So the other thing that I also happened to see out of the corner of my eye was this particular book called Shanghai Torah by Brianna London. And to my understanding, this is a piece of historical fiction. And so as they were getting my stuff prepared, they also had a catalog of all the other books that is part of their publishing. So we have the Dyslexic Handbook, the Attention Deficit Hyperactive Cookbook, the OCD Fun Book, Autism for Beginners, and so on and so forth. Nate the Christmas Snake, a bunch of these other titles. So they were getting it together for me in an envelope, and my friend and I walked away, and I remembered to go back and get the catalog package, and as I went back, I picked it up. It was inside of a white envelope, and as I'm picking it up, we kind of had a little bit of a spiritual visitor with us that day that I didn't expect. Little teeny tiny ladybug that was perched on top of the envelope, and it started to crawl on my thumb, and I'm like, oh my gosh, hi Grampy. And so what happens, this little ladybug then flew to my friend's skirt and just sort of stayed there, and it walked with us for about halfway until we got to our next destination, our next purchase. There was a lot. Considering it was a very overcast day, there were a lot of people there. But so yeah, I not only had my friend with me, but I had a little bit of my spiritual grandpa there with us that day too. So here's to you, Gramps. I have yet to purchase this woman's book, but it's called Maddie and Me. Her dog was actually there that particular day. Maddie's Tales, literally T-A-I-L-S, Tales. So she didn't have, she had one book as a model with her that day. She said all the rest of it could be found online. And I also asked if she would be part of the, if I could also write to her and ask her about being on my podcast. So we will see. But I love anything from the animal's perspective. So I will need to go online and check this book out and hopefully order it, and I will have it. So once again, it's Maddie and Me, Maddie's Tales. And I'm not quite sure. Someone also, they were handing out a bunch of these free USC Urban Trees Initiative. They were handing out these little packets of these seeds here. So this of course is the California poppy, and yeah, so they have a bunch of these little packets that they were handing out. My girlfriend also had gone to this other venue. She said that I might be interested to check her out too. CJ Charles, author, educator, and toy inventor. And it says on her card, mothers are the real life superheroes. Ain't it the truth? And then I was so tempted, and I was actually going to try to get it from my mother, but she's not a big fan of cats. But there was this other venue that we went to called Song Books, and the illustrator Yuki Shimamura had illustrated this this cat Liquorice to one of Carole King's songs. That she basically took the song and illustrated it as like a children's song lyric book. So the main headliner for the day that I went to see was RuPaul. Now, this was not just a regular panel where the tickets are no more than like $5.95, $6 each. And they also changed their online ticket venue from Eventbrite to Tixer. And I thought I already had an account, but I didn't. So this one took place at the Bovard Auditorium. We were on our way there. So the orchestra for the Bovard Auditorium was completely sold out. But on our way there, because of what's happening now with the protests, there was a group of protesters on like right outside of the Bovard Auditorium, but they were completely drowned out because of all the people that were, all the concerts that were going on, all of the lectures at the different poetry stages and the children's stages and the music stages. So I was like, I don't want to get involved with any of this. So I'm specifically here to enjoy the day with my girlfriend. We are here to see the book festival, and that's it. I went to one line. It was they were kind of a little bit, I don't want to say disorganized, but they were trying to figure out, well, if you're here and you got the book, but you're not in orchestra, but you're in the balcony, they were kind of getting a little bit mixed up as to where I was to go. I'm like, let me just go to one place because I ordered the seat and I also ordered the book. So this is RuPaul. It's interesting to see RuPaul with a mustache and a beard because I've never seen him with a beard before, but this is the memoir, The House of Hidden Meanings. And my knee is getting worse. And of course, because I was on the balcony, I had to take the stairs. I'm like, my knee is in so much pain right now. And I asked them, I said, is there an elevator that I can use? So they kindly took me to the side and they allowed me to use the elevator to go up to the balcony. And so that's where I went. Some people had masks on. I didn't. I probably should have. And yeah, it's a really nice auditorium. Now I thought that the book was already signed, and on the screen they would say that there would be a vendor outside that you can get the book signed afterwards. And then they made an announcement that there will be no signing of the books, but what was handed out to us afterwards, RuPaul signed this. So we could place, I guess we can place this, I'm trying to think, is this a sticker? It might be a sticker, or it might just be something we can just place inside of the book. RuPaul came out, and of course, standing ovation, and his laugh. Oh my gosh, RuPaul's laugh is so contagious. Oh my God. Because I like going to lectures and I like taking down notes. There's more to it. He had some interesting innuendos throughout his talk, and so he was dressed to the nines, very much black sequined tuxedo, smart black frames, and I believe he had a black Gucci bag. He originally is from San Diego. He said life happens in a series of 7. So we have age 7, 14, 21, 28, 35. Every one of those years, RuPaul was kind of like catering to the fact that at that point, most human beings are going through a lot of changes. He also told us about the love of his life. He's actually 12 years older than his partner, George. Oh, so some other people that were actually there in the audience were quite a few surprises. All three of his sisters were there. Renee, Renata, and Rosie. Renee and Renata are the two older sisters who gave him great books to read and taught him how to read. His mother was a real pistol, and when the father decided to like leave the family to chance, she almost got her revenge. She came really close to not only torching his car, but also burning down the house. Another story behind there. He did go through a 12-step program. He was at the lowest of the low at a point in his life. There was this memory of that RuPaul that was very, very devastating. At a time when he and his sister would wait for their dad to come pick them up, and he never came. That was a very, very hard time. He was around 10 years old when he started using drugs and alcohol. And of course, he says, it was a different time, darling. So he did that for about 30 years until he got clean. Something about January 24th, 1994 was the turning point where he kind of got control of his life. Oh yeah, that's when he met his partner George at this I guess it was at a dance hall or something. And he says he was, and because he didn't really have a good relationship with his father, he was always very much kind of like on the fence about allowing himself to be loved by another man. So when George came up and literally swooped RuPaul off his feet, he said something. He says, you know, there's that moment when you're looking at it going, you know this person is going to be there for you for the rest of your life. When he says, may I floss your teeth? We cracked up. He cracked up, and it was just like, where did that come from? But he says that is when you know this person is meant to be with you for life. Why bother to argue? They are going to be there with you through thick and thin. Just allow it to happen. I'm sorry, RuPaul, but you, he said he's 63 years old. You are 63 years young. And he said something else that was very interesting. Angels can't help you unless you say, help me. And something about Saturn Returns, which I believe is a chapter inside the book. He was crowned Queen of Manhattan. His inspiration, to my understanding, was David Bowie. Another great saying that came from RuPaul, he said, when you can change your mind, you can change the world. Take inventory of your subconscious. That is one of the most unique things that I've been kind of like studying as of late. It's almost the same thing like manifestations. Manifestations is when you say something that you want something to happen. The hard part, and this is the most difficult, is when you manifest something, you have to actually say thank you and believe it has already happened, and you stick with it until it does, which it's bound to. And as I've heard from all these other people that have learned to manifest, is let the universe do its work. I have yet to, for me, on a personal level, because of what happened over a year and a half ago, I have yet to see this manifest. And it's really hard to believe in something that hasn't happened yet after a very long while. But yeah, take inventory of your subconscious. To me, it means, what is your subconscious consistently thinking about? You think about it all the time. Take inventory of it, but also take inventory about things that you need to be grateful for, that your subconscious mind is not allowing you to do. And that is the most difficult thing for most of us. So his sisters were there, his agents were there, his publicists were there, and someone else that I had never heard about until this lecture. He went over to this woman who was in the orchestra, Holly Knight. Apparently she was there, And a lot of people were so surprised that she was in attendance. So she recently herself wrote a book, and that she was signing it later on, which I ended up getting her book here, and I'll show you in a minute. And one of the shows, he also gave a shout out to a couple of other people like Sam Lansky, who wrote this book called Broken People. I'll need to check that out. And apparently RuPaul loves Murder, She Wrote. Or rather, as he puts it, I love Murder She Sat Down and Read and Wrote. Something to that effect. But he was an absolute delight. He spoke for a little bit over almost an hour and a half. And it was a wonderful lecture. So I have yet to read his book once I'm done with all these other library books and get those out of the way. And I will get to these books from the book haul. And I will hopefully get to enjoy this memoir. And hopefully, RuPaul, I would love to hear from you, darling. You are a trendsetter, but more than that, you are a powerful influencer who has made a mark on this world. And to me, you're doing one hell of a fabulous job. So continue doing that. So my friend and I had lunch. Normally, what I've done the last couple of times is that we went to a couple of the food trucks, and it's not the same place that's by the red building. I forgot what building that is. There's like an outdoor patio where I've had lunch there twice, and so my friend and I we just enjoyed. It was called Whole Grains and Such or something, which is pretty good. And you can basically, I ended up building my own bowl, and yeah, so that was really nice. And so then afterwards we did some more shopping, and so let's go on to the next purchase. Ta-da! Holly Knight. I Am the Warrior. My Crazy Life Writing the Hits and Rocking the MTV 80s. And this is her. And guess who the forward's by? The late Tina Turner. Man. And this was, what is this one? Is this, oh yeah, this is one of the bookmarks that also came with it. So I did not know about, usually when it comes to musical artists, you only hear about the musical artists. I don't, for a long while, I didn't understand that there were more people behind the scenes that wrote the lyrics and wrote the music, because all that you saw was the main headliner behind it. And so she signed it for me as well. Here's her signature. And some of the people in here that I did not know that she wrote for: Tina Turner, of course, Hart, Rod Stewart, Pat Benatar. Oh my God. Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, Bon Jovi, and a few others. Oh, Steven Tyler. My goodness. Ozzy Osbourne. Hello. And Hall & Oates. So, and there's a ton more. Actually, I think if you go to the back of the book, if I'm not mistaken, yep, here is the complete discography of Holly Knight. So all the songs that she is responsible for. She wrote a few here called The Best. I wonder if that's simply the best. I wouldn't be surprised. Oh yeah, I pledge allegiance to the state of rock and roll. Kiss. Love is a battlefield. Oh yeah, hell yeah, I remember that one. Wildest Dreams, yeah, a lot were for Tina Turner. You Can't Stop Me Loving You. And personal discography. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce it. Discography? Is that how you pronounce it? This is her entire life on the songs and how she became the warrior herself. So I'll need to read this one too, because aren't all women warriors? You thought right. I really hope to hear back from the institution. We were again just walking throughout the venues, and I had told her a few that I had gone to the year before. This one was completely new to me, and I did not know that they were here. And I really hope I say it right. This is from a venue called MTO Shama Sudi, I think. The School of Islamic Sufism. I wasn't so much interested in that. The reason why I went into this venue was because of this artwork, and I wish I should have taken a picture of it. So I wrote to them and I hoped to get information about who the artist was because I didn't have his name. They didn't have his business card. But I'm going to have to look into this type of artwork. I have never seen such intricate mirror tile mosaic work before. It is one of the most beautiful things I have ever seen, ever. And there were these pieces that must have been maybe 18, 24 inches in diameter. They were just huge. There were these beautiful radial symmetrical mirror tiled pieces of artwork. And what was interesting is that it looked like the mirrors were almost popping out as if they were three-dimensional. But one of them, and oh God, I wanted to get it so bad. I wanted to get it so bad. It was a painting that was probably no more than maybe 12 by 12. It was painted with a beautiful pink, purple, floral pattern. And then dispersed throughout the paintings were these petal-shaped mirror mosaic tiles that just captured the light and just glinted off of the canvas. There was no price on this thing, but I said, do you have a business card? So the only thing that they gave me was this, and I said, I'm going to have to come back. I'm going to have to come back and check them out. And of course, I go online and I didn't see anything. So I wrote to them and I asked, you know, there was this artist there. Do you have the guy's name? Does he have a gallery? Because I didn't see anything there. So I'm hoping to hear back from them. The other place that I will show you this picture right here was this thing called QuerkyToys Incorporated. Because I have not been able to write properly and I have a lot of issues with typing, there's nothing that I would love more than to have an old-fashioned typewriter, but I don't really care for typewriters. But this QuerkyToys Incorporated had an ergonomic friendly typewriter, number key, and wrist rest that was created to appear like an old-fashioned typewriter, but it's a keyboard. And I just thought that was the most unique thing I had ever seen. I loved it. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have to go online and get it at some point. They are having a sale last time I checked, so we'll have to see. So then my friend kind of like ushered me over to this other venue where, of course, I got this shirt. And I also, my friend was also very much into purple. And I completely forgot what her shirt said. I think it has something to do with, I will be done after this page. Chapter. Page and chapter were crossed off, and then book at the very, very bottom of the sentence was completely open. So it says, yeah, I'll get up. I'll be done when I'm done with this book. A page is not enough. A chapter is not enough. To me, even a book is not enough, but that's what the shirt said. So then she also took me aside to this other, it was one of the last venues that we went to. Everything is better in miniature. I've been seeing, and the way she explained it to me, I thought that this was more of those miniature libraries that you can buy online and create your very own miniature library shelf collection, but apparently not. This is not the same thing, but it's called Books by Britton. Customizable handmade miniatures. So, one of the first ones I saw was this one, and I can't really show you. I can't really show you what it looks like because this is for my brother for his birthday. He's the one who got me into watching the films and reading the books. And after the fourth installment, I ended up getting all the books for him for his birthday. So this is for you. I'm not going to show you guys what it is. And these are not inexpensive, I can tell you that right now. But I did get one for myself, and I couldn't help myself either. This is a collection of fairy tales in miniature. Look at the colors of this thing. Is that gorgeous? The detail that goes into this. I love all types of miniature artwork, but books in particular, you can't keep me away from those ever. Really. You just can't. And I love it. There were, I really seriously wanted to get all of them. They had a bunch with like Harry Potter and Agatha Christie, Sherlock Holmes, fantasy, Jane Austen, all of the classics, horror, mystery, you name it. They basically had just about everything, but this one particular series was like the most popular. So, but I got myself this one. So finally, at 4:30, we went to the Norris Theater where we both got tickets to see this panel. I thought there were 4. There's actually 5 contemporary Gothic authors. Contemporary Gothic fiction authors, that is. And one of them, she's become very well known. My brother was the one who actually gave me the first book of hers that he read. He says, I couldn't really get into it, but you might like it. She wrote The Once and Future Witches, and she also wrote The 10,000 Doors of January, which I still have not finished yet. Her latest is this one, Starling House by Alex Harrow. And so she basically was the most popular author there that night. But there were 4 other authors, including the host himself. He apparently wrote an annotated version of Jekyll and Hyde, which I was tempted to get. Les Klinger was the host. Johnny Compton, Sarah Laughlin, is that? I'm gonna have to go back and see which name that was. And then they also had Ashley Winston, who has a PhD in literature. So they had a lot of interesting things to say, but a lot of it had to do with like, what do you think is this whole big craze now about Gothic fiction, and specifically contemporary Gothic fiction? Rise of the English Gothic novel. It had to do with the Industrial Revolution. So if you think about Frankenstein, Frankenstein is not just made of flesh and blood. He's also made of industrialized materials. Some of them are also into thriller writing, Southern Gothic. Also around that time, what Winston had a lot to say was the aristocracy was losing its power. So we basically had like, the Student Revolution, the French Revolution, and also Winston has written, she and Alex Harrow write a lot of Southern Gothic. I was very surprised. They also have to talk about the setting or the place as being a type of Gothic element, such as a place needs a conflict for a character to be driven to, such as Starling House. It has to do with this young fanatic of this reclusive author whose tale left a lasting impression on her, and she then goes to the author's house. There's a bit of a mystery surrounding the disappearance of the author, and the house rather, has something to do with it. And this came up by Johnny Compton, which I had no idea that this was even a thing. There's this new type of element when it comes to contemporary Gothic fiction. They call it the spite house, like to spite someone. It's a place to spite. As an example, one of the stories he told us was that there was this person who wanted this house so badly, but someone else outbid them. So what did this other person do? The person who wanted that house, since they didn't get it, they bought the property across the way, had it built exactly like the house that this person had lost. And that basically is a way to spite the people who bought that house in the first place. Haunted houses having to do with inheritance, a lot of southern horror. And sometimes the house itself, the place, the setting is represented by two different things. Either the place or the house wants to kill you, or it will become your haunted buddy. So a lot of haunted houses, a lot of haunted places become the thing that everyone gets really crazed about. So Ashley Winston talked a lot about the swamp area. It's a dark place, usually surrounded, including a church, which is a place of refuge. But also around those areas, you have characters that are completely that are cast out of that society. There's also the supernatural, which is what is known as the elephant in the room. We all have a primal fear of something. And especially if it's a house, the house has turned on you or has turned against you. And the other thing is, why read these books in the first place? What is the big craze as to why these books are so popular? Like, take, for instance, Twilight as an example. Why is it that people are so fond of vampires in the first place, and so on and so forth? It's about power, fighting inner demons. It's an invisible, unnatural feeling that gives us all the creeps, but the more that we read about it, the more that we are intrigued, the more that we are turned on by it. We can choose the book to read when needed. So sometimes we need, there are those of us that need the fantasy books, the cozy reads, and then there are times where we just want to be thrilled out of our skin. We want to be frightened out of our skin. The reason why they write is because these authors, some of them, like Alex says, I'm like the cowards. I want to be uncomfortable when I approach a new story, a new type of Gothic, a new kind of Gothic setting. I want to be the one who is a coward and show my cowardice, the real backbone, and approach this unfamiliar, haunted place, this haunted feeling, this very strange, unnatural atmosphere. I want to be uncomfortable with that, and that's completely okay. It's almost like trying to imagine if Stephen King were on one of these panels and we're all wondering what is going on in his head. We secretly have to have our desire. At this point, they were talking about vampires and blood sucking. Vampires are hot. I mean, and there's also, they were talking about, well, who reads a lot of these Gothic contemporary novels? And they're saying a lot of them have to do with the targeted audience that a lot of them aim towards are the teenage girls, because teenage girls go through a lot more changes than boys. Why is it that girls are more turned on by vampire books and boys are not? So they have a lot of like desire to get out of their properly raised skin and their background. They want to be adventurous. They want to take risks. Oh yeah, they were talking about the Salem witch trials, where there was a reversal of power, a reversal of fortune. Once a girl cried witch, it was on the other foot. Suddenly the adults were the ones that were under attack. The girls had all the power in the world until they didn't. Girls are also, at this point, extreme emotion is often suppressed, and so they have a type of real extreme feminine rage, which is why a lot of them turn to contemporary Gothic fiction. And I think they also talked about books that are their particular favorites: The Book of Love, The Practice, The Horizon, and The Chain. I think that's the name of that title. The Perfuma Stories, I think. Monsters, I believe, is a graphic novel, but it's book 2 that one of them really liked. Island Witch, which has to do with demons in Sri Lanka. What is it called? The Angel of India Lake. I'll Be Gone in the Dark. So those were all the notes that I took from that panel. And so, of course, when it comes to getting these books signed, be prepared for the long lines in waiting. So outside they had all of the panelists there, and of course a lot of people were there to specifically get their books signed by Alex Haro. Now, here's something that I would also advise. One of Alex Haro's books, The 10,000 Doors of January, was, to my understanding, it was not on display, but some of them actually brought books that were written by these authors with them already to the book fair. And some of them actually had them signed by the author. The same thing that happened with when I went there the year before with Brian Selznick. One of them, I think, had the invention of Hugo Cabret, which was written years before they brought the book with them to get it signed. So technically, you can do that if you really want to put up with hogging all that extra weight on you. So my advice for going to any kind of book fair, the weather is bound to change, so be prepared for just about anything. You might want to consider actually bringing a rolling cart, plenty of tote bags. Oh, that was another thing. Those of you that remember the tote bags that I got from the O shop, I got one more, and it's for my mother for Mother's Day. So I really hope she's going to like it. The map, I'm sorry to say this, they have not perfected a way to make the map better, to be honest. You can try maybe blowing up the map and making it bigger, zooming in. And also, if you decide to go to these panels, make sure that you have a layout on the map of where you need to be, how long you can get from one place to another. Because the last time I was there, a lot of these buildings were so spread out, you had to go from one opposite side of the campus to the other. And I'm like, I am not doing that again. So luckily, the Bovard and the Norris Theater were kind of on the same route. I would also invest in going to the parking lot where there's a shuttle pickup. You don't need a ticket for that shuttle if you are in the parking lot. I don't know. I honestly don't know about the other places, but it will take you to that specific parking structure. I forgot which is the one that we went to, but look ahead online. I was going to take the metro, but there's 2 to 3 different ways I could have gone from here to Union Station, then to get on the B or the D line, and then make a crossover to the E line. And by the time he got to all that, it would have already been too late for me to take the shuttle to make it to the first, just to make it to the first panel. I would have wasted all that time. The train transportation, the changeover from one tram to the next, from one Metrolink to the next, it would have just been a huge mess. So I took the chance and I drove us both. So I would definitely go with someone who could be your eyes and ears. They could be the map reader. You could be the one to like help guide to the panels. I really enjoyed that day, and I'm going to enjoy my beautiful goodies, including wearing this beautiful shirt. So I hope you all enjoyed the video, and if you'd like to see more of my book hauls, more future interviews to come, I hope, more book reviews, what I'm reading currently, let me know so I can continue to hopefully gain a better following. Not just the interviews, but I'm also going to be adding book reviews to the podcast. And my schedule is still kind of up in the air, but I'm hoping to do, for now, at least once a month, to post one podcast of what I've read for the month, update you on who could be the next person to interview, and to continue with the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge of 2024. So I hope to see you guys in the next video, and keep on reading. We are a democracy of readers, as Ray Bradbury said. Let's keep it that way, and I will see you guys next time. Keep on reading, my book dragons. See you later.